Hello, my name is Alan Kelly. I'm the CCO of Rothco in Dublin. Just getting back to work, back to the office after COVID, people starting to, find their feet and find a rhythm as to how they want to kind of work their week and, out of the office, into the office. So trying to work out all that fun stuff. So, it's good to be back with real people. To be honest, I never wanted to be anything other than a copywriter, which is probably really, really sad. Or the manager of Liverpool. That was the choice. And the Liverpool thing didn't work out, but I always wanted to be a copywriter. Even as a kid, I would sit in front of the TV and look at ads and try and think of the next ad in the series. Really sad youth, but that's what I did. I always wanted to be a copywriter, even before I knew what a copywriter was. So that's my childhood memory of wanting to be a creative. The most interesting campaign I've seen in a while, or my favorite one, is it's not a particularly brilliant campaign. It's more a brilliant insight, and it's such a good insight. They didn't have to say anything other than the insight itself. And the insight is for Sky Sports, and it's only live once. I just think that is just super smart. I'm obviously a sports fan myself, and just that idea of a brand like Sky Sports, that's totally their USP, and that's what they stand for. That's why you pay what you pay to get that service, because those live events, those TV moments that people will watch at the same time, it doesn't happen anymore really, apart from sports events. So it's only live once. I'm absolutely in love with that. I think it's just super smart. Trends that I'm interested in at the moment. I'm particularly interested in, I'm kind of interested in everything, but I'm particularly interested in data and creative use of data. I think that's come a long way in a short space of time. It used to be like data, what would you do with that other than, feed it into an insight, and then data visualization became a thing. But I think over the last couple of years, to talk about campaigns that I've been involved in, which would be JFK Unsilenced and Salists in particular, used data and made it useful. It didn't just inform the insight, it was the idea itself. So I love that. I love turning data into something useful. So that's what I'm mad about. Trends that I'm interested in at the moment. I'm particularly interested in, I'm kind of interested in everything, but I'm particularly interested in data and creative use of data. I think that's come a long way in a short space of time. It used to be like data, what would you do with that other than, feed it into an insight, and then data visualization became a thing. But I think over the last couple of years, to talk about campaigns that I've been involved in, which would be JFK Unsilenced and Salists in particular, used data and made it useful. It didn't just inform the insight, it was the idea itself. So I love that. I love turning data into something useful. So that's what I'm mad about. Do I have any tips? The best piece of advice I ever got about producing work that's going to really stand out, was, at the time I actually thought it was the worst piece of advice. The advice I got from a legendary advertising creative in London was do something interesting. And I'd really been looking forward to meeting this person. They were a huge name on the London advertising scene. So I was a little bit starstruck when I asked them, how do you make great work and work the world will notice? And he looked into the middle distance and maybe stroked his chin for a while, and then he came out with do something interesting. I've never been so underwhelmed in my life. I was like, my God, I got on a plane at 5 a.m. to get to this meeting. Do something interesting. Is that all you've got for me? But over the years, this is a couple of years ago, over the years, I've thought about that a lot. And actually, that's the only advice you can give to anyone. Whatever brief that you've got that's just landed on your desk, you got to find the interesting angle, the interesting story behind the story, the interesting idea that's going to catch people's attention, and the interesting way of bringing it to the world that maybe nobody has done before. And so what I thought was the worst advice that I ever got was probably the best. So that's the advice I'd give to anyone watching this, is try and do something interesting. What do I think is the next big thing in advertising? I have no idea. If you asked me this last year, I certainly wouldn't have said NFTs, or was that the year before? I'm not sure. So I don't know, and that's the great thing about working in the industry that we do. You've got to always be on your toes, and you never know what's going to break through, and just that unexpected curveball that came from nowhere, that is going to be the next big thing. Anybody who says they know is lying, and that's the great thing about what we do. You never know what's coming next. I'm really grateful for the opportunity, really excited about looking at all the ideas and the great work, and just really particularly looking forward to that idea, or those ideas that I just did not see coming, that totally blindside the jury, and not only inspire the jury but inspire the category and move it on and expand it. So I can't wait to start. Thanks.